Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. Today I want to talk about what I call the #1 mistake in influencing others. Now, as a speaker, trainer, psychologist, I do a lot of work with leaders around the country, CEOs, managers, supervisors, and parents. And I know that influencing others is a really big deal. And frankly, don't we all want to be able to influence, our friends, our spouse, the people that we work with? And yet I find that there is one thing that people do that get in the way of that, and I want to make sure you understand it so you can make sure you don't do it, so you can avoid that particular mistake. It has to do with how the brain processes information. For those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, we got the lower brain. That's the resistant brain, the fight or flight brain. Got the upper brain, the upper 80% of the brain. That's the receptive brain. And the one in the middle that acts like as a scanner or a processor router that determines whether we go down to the resistant brain or up to the receptive brain is the limbic system. And it has a tendency to kind of scan the environment for signs of danger. Are there any saber-toothed tigers out there? So what happens when we want to influence others is we have a tendency to try to convince them of something. That's really not necessarily a big problem, especially when other people are receptive to what we're saying. But when that want becomes a need, when we need to influence others and they're not receptive to what we say, we get into that insistence mode, which creates more resistance. I was working with a CEO not too long ago, and we talked about how, without really meaning to, his insistence was creating more resistance, kind of getting in the way of him being influential. So what we want to do is to understand that wanting to influence others makes sense. Needing to influence others, however, creates this kind of trigger for, if I don't, bad things will happen. That need word is what we don't want to do. So we don't want to have our insistence create resistance. I think that is the #1 mistake in influencing others, because we have a tendency to bear down or say it again or say it more forcefully. And often what that does is create more resistance. People kind of push it back on that because nobody likes to be convinced or sold or made to feel something in some way or another. So, what's the alternative? What we want to do is ask ourselves the question, how is what I'm wanting them to know good for them? How is it going to be valuable for them? I know how it's going to be valuable for me, but if I just try to insist on them doing it because it's good for me, that's likely to create resistance. If I can get really clear how this will be valuable for them, and then make sure I'm building that into the process of putting my idea forward, the potential they will go from the resistant brain to the receptive brain is high. Now, there's one thing I always encourage people to do in this process. After you've found out what's important to someone, listen to them, let them know you get it. I can understand how you'd see it that way. Then I encourage you to ask what I call a neocortex question, not a brainstem question. A neocortex question is a question about the solution in the future. So given that this is important to you and we want to accomplish this, what do you think about our trying this? See, that speaks to a future behavior that is about blending what's important to them with what's important to you. If you want me to come to your organization and do a presentation on how to have your managers, your CEOs, everybody kind of get good at this, feel free to go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just hit the Google button and go to Bill Crawford PhD and I'll come up on the first page. Once you get there, hit the contact button and let me know what you're interested in. Love to work with you about that. In the meantime, if you're liking these videos, please hit the like button. You know how YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest love it when you like it. If you think this would be valuable for your friends, feel free to share it with them. I love bringing these videos to you each week, and I'm going to try to do one each week so that you can bring more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.